Our story begins with a girl named Shia who is sitting somewhere, waiting for something strange to happen. After a while, a man named Ivan appears, holding a weapon shaped like a pin. He immediately approaches someone and eliminates them. At that moment, it becomes clear that Ivan is a highly skilled assassin, capable of executing his targets without raising suspicion. However, Shia notices everything happening and is clearly observing for a reason. As Ivan prepares to leave, he is suddenly caught off guard. Someone has already reported the incident. In that moment, Shia grabs his hand, making him sit beside her, pretending to cover for him and hide his connection to the crime. She then speaks to him, saying she saw everything and wants to help him because she admires him. Luckily, her plan works, and they both manage to leave the scene without any trouble. However, once they're outside, Ivan suddenly points his weapon at her and asks, "Who are you really?" At this point, we learn that Ivan works for a major crime syndicate and is suspicious of her, believing she was sent by someone. Surprisingly, Shia remains calm and charming, even admitting her admiration for him. She tells him she wanted to help because she was impressed by the way he eliminated his target. She expresses her desire to get to know him, but Ivan is uninterested in her words. He simply leaves. Shortly after, a group of criminals arrives, seeking revenge for the man Ivan killed. They threaten Shia, demanding she reveal Ivan's location or face death. However, she stands her ground fearlessly. This raises many questions about her true identity. She is clearly not just an ordinary girl. Things become even more mysterious when we see that she has managed to steal Ivan's weapon. She did this on purpose, wanting to force him to seek her out again. Later, at a party, Ivan indeed shows up, wanting his weapon back. They dance together to avoid suspicion, and during the dance, Shia moves closer to him, clearly using this moment to achieve a specific goal. She tells him that after he left her, criminals chased her, trying to find out his location. She blames him for dragging her into danger and insists that he must now protect her. But once again, Ivan dismisses her words and demands his weapon back, as it is very important to him. Shia then leaves the party, and Ivan follows her, accompanied by his assistant. Observing her, he notices criminals watching her, confirming that her life is genuinely in danger. As time passes, she arrives at the crime scene where the earlier murder took place. The criminals confront her with weapons, but she proves to be highly skilled in combat and quickly overpowers them. However, just then, the door opens and Ivan enters. She immediately pretends to be weak, even tearing her clothes to make the scene look more realistic. Ivan reacts by fighting off the attackers and saving her. This moment makes it clear that he is starting to care for her. However, just as things settle, one last enemy nearly shoots Ivan from behind, but Shia steps in and takes the hit for him, proving her loyalty. Afterward, Ivan carries her home to treat her wounds. This is when Shia's plan begins to succeed, as her real goal is to get closer to Ivan. As Ivan is about to leave the room, he suddenly notices a strange mark on her neck. This confirms that she is someone from his past. At that moment, we discover that they were childhood friends and that Ivan used to protect her when they were kids. Shocked, Ivan retreats to his office, lost in thought. He decides to wait before confronting her until he understands who she really is and what she wants from him. Soon after, his assistant enters to discuss work, revealing that Ivan is in charge of a massive criminal organization. Suddenly, another assistant rushes in, informing him that Shia has just woken up and, unfortunately, left the house. Ivan rushes out to find her, showing genuine concern for her safety, especially after realizing she was his childhood friend. Fortunately, he locates her and immediately asks what she's doing there. Shia hands him back his weapon, explaining that she had hidden it and only returned to retrieve it for him. Ivan is shocked that she would risk her life just to return his weapon. He steps closer, unable to believe that someone could love him so much. He asks if she wants anything from him, but she remains gentle, simply saying that she loves him and wants to be with him. Ivan walks away, but it's clear he is affected by her words. As he leaves, Shia reveals her true intentions. She has been acting all along. Her goal is to get close to Ivan in order to reach his boss. A man named Imo is the leader of the syndicate and the one responsible for her father's death. Determined, Shia continues manipulating Ivan, taking every opportunity to gain his trust. Since Ivan is beginning to care for her, he gives her his weapon, telling her to keep it for protection. She acts happy and grateful, but deep down, everything is just an act. One day, Ivan is sitting in his office when his assistant suddenly enters and tells him that Shia is missing from the house. He immediately gets worried, fearing something might have happened to her, not knowing it's all a setup to make him worry and get attached to her. Ivan rushes to find her, doing everything he can until he finally reaches the place where she is. But as soon as he arrives, he is shocked to find the place completely burned down, reduced to ashes. He panics, remembering how he always protected her, especially since she is afraid of fire. He decides to go in himself to save her, but his assistant stops him, telling him she might have escaped before it was too late and urging him to search for her elsewhere. Ivan, terrified of losing her, immediately sets off to find her. It becomes obvious that he has fallen in love with her, especially since she is his childhood friend. After some time, he stops the car, jumps out, and sees her alive in front of him. Completely deceived, he runs to her, embraces her, and apologizes, blaming himself for everything she has gone through. He promises never to leave her side again and to keep her safe. Seeing no better moment to confess his feelings, he tells her he loves her and moves closer in a deeply romantic way. However, he still doesn't know that she has been playing him all along, only getting close to him to reach Imo, the leader of the gang. The next morning, Shia wakes up in Ivan's house. Finding herself alone in the room, she decides to search for anything that might reveal more secrets about the gang, hoping it will lead her to Imo. As she rummages through the files, she stumbles upon something that completely shocks her, a coin that she once gave to her childhood friend as a gift. At that moment, she realizes Ivan is the same person she spent her childhood with, the one who always protected her. She decides she can no longer deceive him, especially since she initially thought he was just a gang member. Now, knowing the truth, she must change her plans. As she waits to talk to him, she faces an unexpected shock. Ivan has already discovered the truth. He confronts her with everything he has learned, and she cannot deny it any longer. She admits that she got close to him to find Imo, believing that he had killed her father and seeking revenge. But Ivan tells her that never happened, and is certain Imo didn't do it. When he accuses her of deceiving him, she apologizes, saying she didn't know he was her childhood friend. If she had known, she would never have done this. Still, Ivan doesn't believe her. Heartbroken, he asks her to leave, not wanting to see her again. Shia, devastated, leaves with deep sorrow. At the same time, she starts doubting everything. What if Imo didn't actually kill her father? When she returns to her family's mansion, she questions one of the family servants for more details. That's when she learns the shocking truth. She had misunderstood everything. Imo didn't kill her father, and there's even a possibility that her father is still alive. This means she wronged Ivan and was chasing after something that wasn't real. Meanwhile, the servant reveals hidden secrets. He is working with a man named John, supposedly Shia's relative. Their goal was to manipulate her into believing her father was dead and that Imo was responsible. Also, they could steal Mo's wealth. They know he possesses a map leading to an invaluable treasure. Now that everything revolves around Imo, the question remains, who exactly is he? Before answering that, we return to Shia, who tries to prove her love to Ivan. Despite his cold treatment, she confesses her feelings, telling him she truly loves him and never meant to use him. Fortunately, he believes her and decides to give her a second chance. Their relationship improves, and Ivan is convinced she has no more secrets. But the real twist, dear viewer, is that Ivan is the one hiding a huge secret. He himself is Imo, the gang leader they've all been searching for. The reason behind his disguise will soon be revealed. But first, we discover another shocking truth. Shia's father is indeed alive. However, Ivan has already tracked him down and had his men capture him. During their confrontation, the truth is finally unveiled. Shia's father was actually an evil man who accepted a huge sum of money to kill Ivan's entire family. He also faked his own death, making his daughter believe he was murdered. All of this was to ensure that Ivan wouldn't look for him or try to avenge his family, as he had convinced everyone he was truly dead. We also discover that all the problems that occurred were because of a treasure map owned by Ivan's family. After that, Ivan returns home and meets Shay, but he doesn't know how to tell her that her father is still alive. Of course, this is very difficult for him, especially since he needs to avenge his family, as her father was the reason for their deaths. However, what makes the situation even harder is that Shay has figured out the truth and realized that Ivan is actually a Mo himself. She asks him if he is hiding something from her, but of course, he denies it and isn't ready to confess to her yet. Then, Shay threatens him with a weapon, telling him that she already knows everything. She is naturally heartbroken because he deceived her like this, destroying the trust between them. At that moment, Ivan's men enter with Shay's father to make the situation completely clear to her. She is in total disbelief that her father is still alive, but as she starts to grasp what is happening around her, she feels that this will not end well at all. And indeed, that's exactly what happens. Ivan leaves her and goes to confront her father, wanting to know more details so he can take revenge on everyone responsible for his family's death. Once Ivan learns everything he needs, he immediately pulls out a gun and ends his life on the spot. When Shay arrives and sees what happened, she is utterly shocked. She can't believe that the person she loves killed her father right in front of her eyes. She rushes to him, trying to check if her father might still be alive. But of course, it's too late. She can't bear it, so she turns the weapon toward Ivan, intending to avenge her father. However, her love for him overpowers her, preventing her from taking that step. Because of this, Shay decides to end her own life, as the situation is too painful for her to handle. She points the gun at herself and is about to pull the trigger, but Ivan quickly intervenes, managing to push the gun away. Unfortunately, a shot is fired, and she gets hit. Luckily, it's not a fatal wound. As time passes and her condition stabilizes, Ivan remains by her side, anxiously waiting for her to wake up. He is deeply worried about her, but at the same time, he knows that what happened will greatly affect their relationship. The woman he loves is the daughter of the man who wiped out his entire family, while for her, he is the man who killed her father. Time passes, and finally, Shay regains consciousness, but she shocks Ivan by pretending not to recognize him. She asks him who he is, and it becomes clear that the injury caused her to lose her memory. Ivan is left stunned and unable to comprehend what's happening. However, he is also somewhat relieved that at least she is alive. Later, he speaks with the doctor, who reassures him that her condition is stable and suggests that her memory loss might be due to the trauma she experienced. Then, John arrives with Shay's family servant, wanting to check on her. However, Ivan knows exactly who they are and doesn't welcome them. He warns John to leave immediately, or else he will end his life. Ivan has every right to do this because John is only using Shay to get to the treasure map. 2 months later, Shay is sitting with her family servant. During their conversation, it is revealed that she never actually lost her memory. She made up the story to deceive Ivan so he wouldn't suspect anything or worry about her. Her real goal now is to take revenge on him for killing her father. She wants to eliminate him at the first opportunity. However, she has no idea that her real enemies are John and her family servant. One day, Shay secretly meets with John, fully trusting him, and shares her plan to kill Ivan in her own way. She takes a drug from him, intending to use it on Ivan to weaken him and extract all the information she needs from him. That night, she sits alone with the drug, determined to use it immediately. She enters Ivan's room with a drink that contains the drug, pretending she just wants to spend some time with him. When she offers him the drink, Ivan senses that something is off, but despite his suspicions, he trusts her completely. He drinks it right away. Shay waits for the drug to take effect, expecting him to become dizzy or unaware of his surroundings. However, the shocking twist is that the drug's effect is the complete opposite. He quickly loses consciousness, and his life is in danger. It becomes clear that this wasn't just a sedative, but something far more dangerous. At that moment, Shay reveals her true feelings. She is deeply worried about him. This proves that she still loves him and can't truly harm him. That's why she rushes to call John, asking about the drug she got from him. John then admits that he tricked her. It was poison, not a drug. Of course, he did this because he wanted to get rid of Evan completely, believing this was the best opportunity. But Shay threatens John, saying that if he doesn't tell her the name of the poison, she will end her own life immediately. Forced by her threat, John reveals the name of the substance. With that information, Shay finds the proper antidote and saves Evan's life. After this incident, Shay sits with her family servant, trying to uncover the truth. She tricks him into talking and asks why Evan killed her father in the first place. However, he refuses to tell her the truth, instead trying to convince her that Evan is an evil man. Of course, he does this because he and John want to eliminate Evan and take his fortune. That night, Shay stands alone, thinking about everything happening. Suddenly, Evan appears, now recovered. He approaches her immediately without even blaming her for anything. Shay is surprised, unable to understand how he can still love her despite the fact that she almost ended his life. The reason behind this is that he is trying to atone for his mistake. He wants her to forgive him for killing her father. He believes she has the right to do anything to him, even if it means ending his life. Later, when Shay is alone, reflecting on everything, she starts to feel that Evan might actually be a good person. But she still has one unanswered question. Why did he kill her father? She does not yet know that he did it out of revenge for his family, who were killed. One day, as Evan leaves his room, he locks the door immediately. Shay sees this and starts feeling suspicious. She waits for him to leave and then decides to enter the room to find out what he is hiding. However, Evan returns and catches her trying to enter. He tells her that she could have just asked him for anything, and he would never refuse. To prove his sincerity, he opens the door for her and walks in with her, trying to reassure her in every way possible. Inside, Shay discovers that Evan has kept the room as a memorial for his deceased family. He speaks to her about how much he loved them and how their deaths caused him great pain. He then gives her a necklace that belonged to his mother, saying that she is the most deserving person to have something so valuable. This moment convinces Shay that Evan is indeed a good person and that she should not seek revenge against him. But as she leaves, she begins to wonder if his family's death is connected to why he killed her father. Her thoughts are correct, but she refuses to face this truth and stops thinking about it. Meanwhile, Evan is alone, drinking heavily, frustrated with the current situation. After consuming a large amount of alcohol, he loses control over his actions. He goes to Shay, and in his drunken state, he accuses her of always thinking about revenge against him. She admits that it's true, that her mind is tormented by it, and she doesn't know what to do. She is torn between revenge and forgiving him. She asks him directly why he killed her father, saying she at least needs an explanation to live with him normally. But Evan cannot bring himself to tell her the truth. He doesn't want to make her feel worse by revealing that her father was responsible for his family's death. Shay remains conflicted, feeling guilty about her father and believing she should avenge him. One day, as she is walking, Evan's assistant suddenly appears and threatens her with a gun. He is afraid for Evan's safety, believing that she is plotting with John to kill him. He warns her that if she does not stay away from Evan, he will kill her without hesitation. At that moment, Evan himself appears and shoots the assistant in the hand. This is the first time he has harmed someone for her sake. He rushes to Shay, ensuring she is safe while keeping his gun aimed at his assistant, warning him never to do this again. Even though the assistant truly cares for Evan, Evan loves Shay and will not allow anyone to harm her, no matter who they are. Afterward, Evan tries to get closer to her, expressing his feelings. However, she argues with him, convinced that he must be deceiving her. She cannot believe that someone could love her this much, especially since she was planning to kill him. Evan holds her gently and tries to convince her that he is not lying, that he is willing to accept any punishment as long as it makes her feel better. But she still does not believe him. She leaves, refusing to accept everything that has happened. When Evan follows her outside, they continue talking in the street until, suddenly, someone hidden in the shadows aims a gun at them. Evan quickly reacts, running toward Shay to shield her. He is shot, and the wound is severe. As he bleeds, Shay is in shock, unable to process what just happened. Meanwhile, on the other side, it is revealed that John is behind the attack. He is determined to use every opportunity to get rid of Evan once and for all. Back with Shia, she anxiously waits for news about Ivan's condition. However, Ivan's assistant confronts her, blaming her for everything that has happened. He reminds her that he had warned her to stay away from Ivan, but she didn't listen. The assistant then tells her the full truth, that Ivan killed her father because her father was responsible for the death of Ivan's entire family. Shia is shocked, realizing how unfairly she had judged Ivan. She begins to feel that she is the reason for all the trouble in his life. Determined to make things right, she decides to leave the city the next day. However, before leaving, she talks to Ivan's assistant to check on Ivan's condition. She is overjoyed to learn that he has regained consciousness. When she sees him, she is surprised by how kindly he treats her despite nearly losing his life because of her and John. This makes her change her mind about leaving. She decides to stay and support him. Knowing that John is the real villain, Shia decides to outsmart him. She meets with him and pretends to want to get rid of Ivan. Together, they create a plan to kill him, but her real goal is to trap John and hand him over to Ivan. However, the real surprise comes when Ivan's assistant suddenly joins their scheme, claiming that he also wants revenge on Ivan for shooting his hand. John believes them both, but in reality, even John's assistant betrays him. It was all a setup. Time passes, and one day, Shia offers John a drink she made herself. Suspicious, John hesitates, believing she might have poisoned it. To prove him wrong, Shia drinks from the same cup. Luckily, there was no poison. She only did this to test whether John truly trusted her. However, his reaction confirms that he doesn't, making her fear that he might have figured out her plan. Realizing the danger, she grabs a weapon and tries to attack him, but he is a step ahead and pulls out his gun first. He reveals that he already knows everything and that the game is over. His men tie up both Shia and Ivan's assistant, leaving them locked up in a room. This is a disaster because Ivan was waiting for their signal to execute their plan against John. Meanwhile, John takes the opportunity to confront Ivan, bringing his men to threaten him. However, Ivan remains completely calm. He had anticipated this. At the right moment, he calls out to his own team, who storm in, taking control of the situation. Ivan skillfully pulls out his weapon and holds it to John's throat, turning the tables completely. At the same time, Shia realizes that John has left and the house is empty. She manages to free herself and the assistant, and they rush to Ivan's location to help him. However, by the time they arrive, they find that Ivan already has full control over the situation. Unfortunately, his previous wound reopens, and he begins bleeding heavily. John notices this and takes advantage of the moment, grabbing a gun from the ground and threatening everyone. Shia and the assistant arrive just in time to see what is happening, but they are unable to act. Any wrong move could cost Ivan his life. Shia desperately pleads with John to let Ivan go, offering to do anything in return, but John refuses, stating that he plans to kill them all. Ivan, deeply concerned for Shia's safety, tells John that he is willing to die if John spares her. John, entertained by the offer, hands Ivan a knife and tells him to end his own life in exchange for Shia's freedom. Shia is horrified and refuses to let this happen. She distracts John, giving Ivan the perfect opportunity to strike. He quickly lunges at John and stabs him, ending his life. However, Ivan collapses immediately after, losing consciousness due to the extreme blood loss. But afterward, Ivan loses all his energy, unable to hold on any longer. He collapses to the ground, unconscious, having lost a huge amount of blood due to his old wound. Days pass, and Shay stays by his side the whole time, feeling extremely sad because his condition is unstable. She can't believe things ended up this way, even though they have overcome all their troubles. Time keeps passing, and she remains sad and worried, but at the same time, she holds on to hope that he will wake up and recover. One day, she stands up and prays for his quick recovery, saying that she is even willing to die just to know that he is okay. At that moment, Ivan suddenly wakes up and responds, telling her that she shouldn't make such a wish, because if she dies, they won't be able to get married. Shay is shocked and can't believe it until she sees Ivan standing in front of her, finally stable. They rush to each other and embrace, with her feeling overwhelming happiness now that he is okay. Ivan tells her how much he loves her and that he can't imagine a single day of his life without her. So, he proposes marriage, telling her he wants to spend his entire life with her. She, of course, agrees. Later, they discuss the treasure map that was the source of all their troubles. Shay suggests that they don't need it and should get rid of it to avoid any more problems. Ivan agrees and immediately burns it. They start preparing to live a happy life together. But suddenly, one last unexpected problem arises. As their wedding day approaches, they are shocked to find that Shay has been kidnapped, with a message left behind for Ivan. He immediately takes action with his men, ordering them to search everywhere. But he doesn't wait. He personally goes to all the places that come to his mind. After some time, he finally finds her and discovers that her family servant is the one who kidnapped her. The servant is holding a weapon and is also wearing an explosive vest to threaten Ivan. He demands the treasure map in exchange for Shay's life, saying he will detonate the explosives otherwise. Ivan tries to stall him because, unfortunately, he already burned the map and can't give it to him. The servant, furious, shoots Ivan in the leg and warns him not to waste time or he will kill them both. At that moment, Shay realizes that she is the cause of all of Ivan's troubles and knows he won't risk her life. Seeing that Ivan did not react even when shot, she makes a drastic decision. She apologizes to Ivan, then, shockingly, pulls out the weapon she had taken from him earlier and shoots herself, intending to end her own life. The servant is caught off guard and loses focus. Ivan immediately takes advantage of the moment and kills him. But, unfortunately, Shay has already wounded herself badly and is bleeding heavily. Ivan is devastated and cannot believe what has happened. A whole year passes, and it turns out that Shay survived her injuries. However, she decides to leave and completely distance herself from Ivan to avoid causing him more trouble. Despite everything, Ivan never stops thinking about her and does not even try to find another woman. One day, he is sitting alone, lost in memories of their time together, when suddenly, she appears in front of him after all this time. She smiles at him and asks him to dance with her, just like she had asked in the very beginning when he used to push her away. But this time, Ivan, overjoyed, immediately embraces her, unable to believe his happiness. Shay reassures him that she will never disappear again, no matter what happens, and that she is ready to spend the rest of her life with him. The video ends here. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.